mushroom. I'm like, fuck yeah, I love grilled mushrooms. This is going to be great. Why wouldn't I want a big one? You didn't know this, but I saw this also today. 5 companies own 8,000 Kansas City homes. That was one headline.
If you are a burglar, know this. I'll get here and I'll fuck you up.
Yeah, he lives really close.
And I'll take pleasure in doing it.
This one has a lot of hair. This one has a normal amount of hair. It's Pat and Alex. This one was born in Raytown. This one lives in Raytown. They opened a store in the pandemic, and this is a show about it. Hustle and bustle. Hustle and bustle. Hustle and bustle. Here is the show.
Did they take the eye patch off for the cute cookie picture in the front?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I got it. Makes sense. Well, hello and welcome to Hustle and Bustle. I'm Pat.
I'm Alex.
Announcements. We have an event coming up, Merch Madness. It's going to be March 24th. It's a Sunday here at Gnarly Hussle. Before we open for Sundays, because we're going to start opening for Sundays come April. But March 24th will be open, popping up from 11 to 3 here at the shop. We're going to have 15 vendors, and if the weather's really good, it could be even more than that, which it's going to be our first vintage. We've done one vintage market, and that was at Midnight Madness.
Yeah.
And I would say, it was a success in that the overall event that it was tied to was a success.
Yeah.
And enough people did pretty well at the market that we feel like, we brought people who shopped.
Yeah.
But there were definitely some people who didn't do well either because we had a lot of vendors.
Yeah, probably too many vendors.
So lessons learned there. And this will be our first vintage market really here at the shop. We did a bunch of gnarly markets last year, which were monthly events that had live music and vendors, but they were mostly art vendors and not vintage vendors.
Yeah.
And the vintage event space is super crowded. We're going to talk about it later. But we're kind of like excited / I think a little nervous maybe even to jump into it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So we're going to have it. We're going to get vendors here. So we're freaking excited about it. We've been planning it, and it's going to be a fun time. And that's Merch Madness, March 24th. There's going to be a bunch of dope, like super cool vintage clothes. So come check it out. And then afterwards, we're going to have like a little block party and cookout, aka a potluck for those of you who have been listening for quite a while, where we're just going to share some food and play some games. Try to play the Raytown's, Kansas City's largest game of knockout. I don't know what that record is.
We're going to set it.
Let's set a goal at 20. If we get more than 20 people, that's where the over-under is for me. Playing knockout, that's a pretty good game.
That's fun. I'm thinking now.
Learn how long that takes.
That was my main issue, is you get more than that, and I think it stops becoming fun. Because like,
there's
the
just so much time.
Yeah, it's like at a theme park. You wait in line for so much, then you ride for
Hands Across America probably wasn't fun, but it was important.
That's fair.
So, hard things are worth it.
I love it.
So we're going to play some knockout.
We do the hard things, not because they're hard.
What?
Never mind. I was trying to impersonate Kennedy.
Oh, yeah. Around the water cooler. Let's talk about important things as well. France has banned steak label on vegetarian products. So cauliflower steak, can't do it in France.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't debate it. I don't know. It seems... Who is that affecting?
It is a little weird that... I don't understand that. Like, are they really confusing like elders into thinking they're getting protein or something?
Yeah. And then
is there a problem we're solving?
I'm assuming there was someone unhappy, but it seems like
seems very French to me. So in that way, I like it. That it's like just it's not steak is a steak.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I like it. It also seems like unnecessary, legislation.
I would argue there's far more.
But how do you feel about just steak? Like if you go to Whole Foods, every vegetable they call it a steak, like a mushroom steak, a cauliflower steak, or noodles is a big one. Like you can noodle anything. Zoodles, that's a zucchini noodle. You can noodle.
They're all paper straws of the original. Like they work, but it's a worse product than noodles.
Yeah. I think that it almost does a disservice to the dish, because then when you think noodles, you're like, oh, this is going to be like mac and cheese, or this is going to be spaghetti. Like spaghetti squash tastes nothing like spaghetti.
No, yeah.
But it's delicious.
But, I mean, it's
just
yummy
call
in
it
its own
squash
right.
casserole.
Yes. That's the thing, is a lot of these foods are delicious in their own right. You don't have to call it a burger or a steak. Call it its own fucking thing. It's a mushroom.
In doing so, you're doing a disservice to the dish,
Yeah.
If it was like, this is going to be a giant grilled mushroom, I'm like, fuck yeah, I love grilled mushrooms. This is going to be great. Why wouldn't I want a big one? But if you call it a mushroom steak, I'm like, what? That doesn't. I'm expecting a steak texture, a steak flavor.
What factory is this out of? You know?
Yeah. So I think France, now that the more they think about it, is onto something. Speaking of food, Wendy's surge pricing like Uber.
So this was like a recorded phone call that the CEO or
sounds very Watergatey.
Yeah, so it was some type of like monthly sales meeting or board meeting or something, and I don't know if it was the CEO or some executive in Wendy's was discussing on plans. He was like, "We're going to start trialing AI-based surge pricing on certain Wendy's locations, just like Uber." And Uber is more expensive at 4 a.m. than it is at 3 p.m.
Right.
And so the idea is food, based on like the phone call conversation, food might be more expensive between 11 and 2 than it is at 4 or 3. You know, it's like when people are visiting, it's more expensive. Anyway, got tons of backlash. Internet hates it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen anyone being like, this is a good idea.
Well,
except for the greedy corporate people who are all looking to see how this turns out.
Isn't that how this all is work? Like self-checkout.
Yeah.
No one was like, oh, I want to check myself out.
I don't know.
I bag my own groceries.
I was pro self-checkout when I used to be a cashier. I hate lines. And so in the beginning, I think they did a good job.
Move a lot faster if there's a human being with some skill behind them.
True, but it doesn't matter how fast the cashier is if she's checking out Betty, who's 85 years old, checking out her checkbook. That stuff drew, like, I don't know. So I was on board in the beginning, but now I'm reversing, and I'm happy that they're going the way of the dodo and disappearing. But anyway, so this whole surge pricing thing, I don't think they will implement just because of the massive amount of hate they got, but it, like, hit me. It will happen. For sure.
Yeah.
If there's a way
makes a lot of sense.
If there's a way to squeeze a few more cents or dollars out of the customers, corporations will do that. It's what they're designed to do, is make money. And like, if it happens, how would we even know? Like, we were just talking before we turned the camera on. If Amazon just decided to tack on a few extra cents, to certain products during certain times, there's no way individuals would know.
How would you not know at Wendy's? Because there's like a menu board with the price.
They would absolutely.
They would just change. Because like
when the McChicken changed from 99 cents to $1.29, I knew the next day. So you best believe people will know. But I don't think I'm sure that's calculated into.
In some ways, it's just like anything. Like, it's better for rich people, because if I'm rich, like, I'll tell you right now, the Wendy's at 63rd and Raytown Road, right here at the corner in downtown Raytown, nightmare between 11 and 2. Like, not even an option between 11 and 2.
There's at least
I'd rather eat from Walmart.
There's 3 nasty reviews on that Wendy's Google from 3 different Google accounts that I have left simply because I've had so many bad experiences.
So, like,
there.
in a lot of ways, if you did that, it would make it, if you really wanted Wendy's, maybe worth going.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's just another fast pass in society to where rich people get a better experience than poor people, and that sucks. But you're right, it's going to make corporations richer, so it'll probably happen.
Yeah. Scary.
If it isn't already, to your point.
You know what we can't do is do that in person. Price is on the paper tag, baby. Can't artificially change a paper tag. So come in and buy clothes in person. Don't buy things online.
Yeah, it's true. And don't haggle. But if you do, it's fine, I guess.
It better be hundreds of dollars we're haggling over, not a dollar.
What else do we have? Stadium renovations. This is big old hot topic right here. So let's talk first. The Arrowhead depictions are out. The renderings of the. I know we talked a little about this yesterday. I think we're both underwhelmed.
Incredibly underwhelmed. I remember swiping through the photos and getting to the end, still looking for like the major improvements. But if you haven't seen it, it's a bigger parking lot. Is what
that's what it looks like. Yeah, like a fancier parking lot. They basically turned Kaufman into a parking lot with like a tailgate experience, like a heightened tailgate experience. It's like a mini football field type thing and like a grass courtyard type area.
It's interesting. And one of the pictures,
A
there's
very light showy with like rooftop where you could maybe do like it would look like the center part of Power and Light,
yeah.
kind of like a rectangular version of that.
That's what I thought when I first saw the picture, because there's in the visualization, they've got a group of people all like watching a big screen on that grass field, and that's what I immediately thought was watch parties or replicating what they got at Power and Light at Arrowhead. So they're leaning heavily into the tailgate, it looks like.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they implement a rule like once the game starts, you have to either go in, or are you allowed to tailgate during the game?
I don't. Yeah, you're right. There was a big hubbub made a season or two ago about, and they changed like the size of like where you're allowed to keep your shit when you're tailgating, and they changed that.
I didn't know if it was you needed a ticket to stay, where you couldn't just like show up without a ticket to the game and tailgate.
I don't know. I mean, it's probably a safety thing now that I think about it, because now I think about it in the context of the parade, and it seems like it would be a safety thing. And now I'm just like, man, you're investing a lot in outdoor drunkenness.
Yeah,
and I'm like, just like, ooh. But I wanted to see them go. Like, I remember when I went to Vegas, this is for like a work trip years ago, but they were building Allegiant at the time, the Raiders Stadium. Mm-hmm. And before they had it built in like a very affluent, like say Zona Rosa or the Plaza, the Raiders had a giant brick and mortar retail location where you could go in if you were a fan. And it was the only place you could engage, basically, because the Raiders Stadium hadn't been built yet. And I know that in Gillette Stadium, they have the Patriots have built this giant, like, kind of retail food and drink entertainment district. Yeah. I was hoping for something more like that. And I had heard shit like hotel and casino even. And that turned me on. I think that would make money, honestly, year-round. I know it sounds crazy, but I think a Chiefs-themed casino would fucking crush.
So the Kansas Speedway is not dissimilar. No, they've got the whole...
Well, Missouri, maybe that's like a phase, like... Because it's not legal yet in Missouri to gamble, so it would be dumb to announce that you're building a casino right now. And maybe that is a phase later, something going on. Because what doesn't make sense to me is they had this giant walking bridge over I-70.
Yeah.
If we're turning all of Kaufman into more parking, do we really need to build a shuttle to get people from Denny's?
So hopefully that means they're redeveloping more than just what's in the pictures. I mean, it's a lot of judgment off of very early drawings of things that won't happen till 2030.
Right.
But yeah, overall it was certainly underwhelming, and I fucking stoked. And Raytown should be, if they do any type of ballpark village entertainment district centered around Arrowhead.
I would think so, yeah.
But it's without the Kansas Speedway. They built a casino specifically for the Speedway and stuff. But they have the Legends is a pretty supportive shopping district that also draws people.
Yeah.
And they have another state. They've got the Sporting KC. I don't know. There needs to be another draw besides the seasonal football, I think, to really pour billions of dollars of entertainment into that area. But
I don't know. We can agree to disagree on that. But I mean, I think the Chiefs, for at least the next 10 years, can pull.
That's the other thing is people are probably...
And I just also don't see the NFL becoming less popular.
No.
I think it's only going up. So, we'll see what happens. But, that's tied to the second part, the Royal Stadium going downtown, right? That's why the Chiefs have announced this. They're trying to get people excited, which I think maybe because I'm not that didn't make me want to hit the yes button.
No.
It seems like there's a lot of, if you just look on social media, a lot of on our algorithms, Gnarly Hustle's Instagram or on my Reddit, there's a lot of anti-tax, say no to the tax, don't vote no to the stadium.
In fact, I don't know if I've seen a single supportive post.
I've seen a few, but they're all just from a fan standpoint, I want this there. I want the Royals. The downtown stadium sounds great. I'm willing to pay for it. We're extending this. This is the current agreement, as I understand it, that already exists, and we are extending the 3/8 cent sales tax. It's not creating a new one. But and I just read the actual ballot measure, or what was on the ballot when you're going to go vote this morning on social media, and apparently I didn't realize this. If we didn't have this 3/8 cent sales tax, not only are you voting to extend the current agreement for the 3/8 cent sales tax, but part of it is, if let's say we voted no, the 3/8 cent sales tax would still exist, but it would go to Jackson County.
Interesting.
Which maybe is why Frank White vetoed this ever getting on the ballot. To Frank White being the Jackson County executive. So anyway, I'm just a very amateur local politics enthusiast reading this on social media, but I just find it interesting. What do you think about it? Where are you leaning on this? What we're consuming seems to focus a lot on the small businesses that will be displaced by it.
Yes. I don't have as strong of opinion towards no as I think a lot of people. I'm not really for it. I'm not really for them moving at all. I think it's a pretty hefty waste of like the community's resources. But I don't. I was thinking Ballpark Village was pretty much it was a couple of years old when I was going to school in the St. Louis area, and we loved it. Like, it was a 30-minute trek to get down there from across the river, but we spent a lot of time in Ballpark Village and, like, surrounding areas. And for that, I was like, this sounds like a great idea. It's an excellent, good, like, nightlife entertainment district. But then I was thinking, I haven't been there since I was 23, and I don't know if I would really ever want to go to Ballpark Village again.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be in Kansas City for the next 40 years. Is that something that I'll ever use or enjoy? I don't know. I don't think they should move. I'm not really for it. But
I'm ambivalent.
What's that mean?
Either way.
Yeah, which I feel guilty about.
I do too. I see the benefits of downtown. I think if you displace all, like, the Crossroads is like a cultural mecca right now.
Yeah.
And if you drop a fucking baseball stadium on it, like, I think best case, it's lower downtown Lodo, Denver, right? If you go to Denver, Lodo, they just take fucking dogs in the fucking in the bars in Lodo. It's the coolest, hippest place to eat, drink in Denver, and there's a baseball stadium there, and it's awesome. I guess best case scenario is that Crossroads turns into that. But no matter what, the local artsy poor community, if that stadium goes there, my guess is it turns very corporate, very outside, very venture capital money, and not local small business owner money.
Yes.
Okay, that will get displaced to the West Bottoms. That'll get displaced to Strawberry Hill or KCK, and that'll just make those neighborhoods fucking cool. Maybe it'll get displaced even to downtown fucking Raytown because the rent's cheaper here. So, like, while it will suck that they'll get displaced, those communities and the people, the next wave of entrepreneurs that want to do those businesses, or even those businesses potentially, will land somewhere else, and those places will be the benefit of it. Yeah. And downtown Kansas City will be cool. I think it will be. I think it would be awesome to have that there. And I think the Arrowhead having the chance to expand and be cooler for the Chiefs is good too. But also on the flip side of it, Coffin's fucking awesome. Truman Sports Complex is fucking awesome. There's no need to make this move.
Yeah.
There's no need to do it.
Whatever, like, cracked concrete, aging, whatever excuse they're using as like a motivation to ditch the stadium, I think is bullshit.
And I guess like Churchill Laszlo, like Slim Fast and Laszlo have been talking about this, but they both have like expired tags. And I'm currently like, I have acquired a new car because my car got totaled in the winter storms, and I have to like get this piece of paper from Jackson County, and my wife just went through this with her fucking personal property taxes, and the only way to get it is to go to the courthouse at 8:30 in the morning and get in line with way more people than they'll give out a number to have an appointment that day, and this is the case every single day. And you have to go there to text a system to have them. I think you've even talked about this on here, but it's like this nightmarish system. You used to be able to go to City Hall before November and just pay my personal property taxes or get this piece of paper, do whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
Now it's like an impossible ordeal almost to get it done. And so like that's a huge problem. So I can only imagine that has to be a resource problem. So, like, maybe Jackson County could really use a 3/8 cent sales tax so we could all fucking get our cars tagged again.
Yeah. That's...
So, like, I'm on both sides of this thing. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm very pro-tax. Well, I'm not going to say I'm very pro-tax, but I am certainly more...
You're progressive in that way. Like, you're...
Yeah. I enjoy services. I love roads. I love cops. I want better schools.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I'm never... against a new tax. Now I'm hyper like not I don't know what I'll analyze the shit out of it and be like, is this just because of the new tax, is it useful?
Yeah.
And like, is the bureaucracy in place to even take advantage of the money we're giving them?
Yeah.
It's like a whole other thing, you know? Like that's why I have a small business, because I want agency over my money. And yeah, so
I'm equal. I'm like, part of me is Nick Offerman in Parks and Rec, and it's like I hate the government because it's like in Jackson County, while I'm sure they could use resources like everybody else, like I also have a lot of questions because like everybody's taxes got fucking skyrocketed. They're on their houses in the last couple of years because of Jackson County, and like just because they're crumbling from a customer service perspective doesn't mean that should engender more trust to give them more money.
Yeah.
So like I don't know what the fucking right answer is. I just want the Royals to stay here, and I think we are in a staring contest right now with the Royals and the Chiefs. And I don't want the Royals and the Chiefs to leave Jackson County.
What do you think it's like between them? Do you think like there will be animosity, or like do you think the Chiefs are?
I'm sure there probably
have
is
a preference
some already. There probably is some already. You know, I think they're both of their preference is this, for the Royals to go downtown and for the Chiefs to expand. But the threat is, if that doesn't happen, what happens?
Yeah.
And we've already seen the Royals and the Chiefs could move anywhere around here.
Several different
and I think that would suck. And I don't want that to happen. But that's where we're at. We're at like a bluffing game right now with them. And if the city doesn't give the rich people what they want, they will probably try to up the ante on like leveraging their ability to change the status quo in a way that we don't want against us.
Yeah.
So
is the world,
Yep.
or America at least.
That's weird. Also, crazy stuff happening in Kansas City. I'm throwing this on you because you didn't know this, but I saw this also today. 5 companies own 8,000 Kansas City homes. That was one headline I wrote. And then I read, and then the next headline I read was Kansas City rent is rising faster than like the national average by some like significant. Like, it's one of the fastest rising cities in terms of rent. Those two things seem to be pretty interconnected.
Yeah. I remember it's like when the housing market was like bananas, and like when you were trying to buy a house. I remember reading an article. It was focusing on Arizona, but there were like a handful of cities they picked out, and it was like 75% of single family homes were owned by out-of-state corporations. I don't know how many of them, but like the ratio of property ownership to residents was wildly off, and consequently, rent went through the roof, and house prices went through the roof. I'm not surprised that's happening in Kansas City, excluding like the fact that 5 companies own so many households. I think we've been kind of lagging behind the rest of the country in that. I've just been expecting it, I guess. Like there isn't more homes. And I think Kansas City is growing. Like that's a pretty 1 + 1 = 2.
Right.
And in the last 3 years, there hasn't been more homes, and there isn't projected to be more homes to meet the status quo. So I think houses will definitely get more expensive, outside of whatever interest rates
I'm
are.
fine with it getting more expensive for that dynamic, like the fact that they're like supply and demand dynamic.
Yeah.
I'm not fine with it getting that way because like 30 rich guys that don't live here own all the fucking houses and are jacking up the housing market. That's part seems like something we could legislate against.
Yeah, I don't know how.
And like I'm all for personal freedom. Like I got angry about the fact that in Raytown we can't fucking short-term rent. Like we cannot Airbnb that house.
Yeah.
It's illegal in Raytown to Airbnb your house. I think that's fucking stupid. Americans should be able to make money on shit. American human beings. Corporations shouldn't have the same rights as an American human being, and I don't think they should be able to just own endless fucking houses and rent them to people and like price fix their own markets.
Yeah. I would be interested to see what the how those numbers look compared in Raytown. Like, I wonder if that's something that's made people not do the same. I don't know.
Like if people are, but you can still. It doesn't. I don't think there's any legislation against renting. Yeah, so like you can still be
so probably a small, very very small effect, if any.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah. How it's going. Let's talk a little bit about the vintage community because there's some crazy stuff going on. There's been a couple break-ins at Peach's Vintage, which is downtownish.
Crossroads area.
I saw this video. Someone shattered the window and like stole jewelry from them, and that sucks. And a lot of people kind of rallied behind him and did some stuff. And I don't really know. I don't know if do you know them?
Just through social media. We're terrible at meeting people in the vintage community.
I would say that we didn't really engage in the vintage community at all until recently.
Yeah,
you know, we kind of dabbled a little bit in the beginning, but we didn't really even consider ourselves part of it until recently.
Yeah,
but they. So that happened. Then another person's who does a lot of vintage got their car broken into and their shit stolen.
There's been a few of those.
Okay.
If if you sling vintage or you do a lot of pop-ups, odds are you sometimes store a lot of stuff in your car. I know we
had the gnarly van there for a while.
Yeah, for like the first 8 months of our existence, we had everything in our van.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple like on the street break-ins of just smash a window, grab a bag, and that kind of deal. And then. And then Rex catalog as of I think a couple days ago. I don't remember.
I don't remember. I didn't ever see the social media. I think it was in the stories.
I
don't
looked
think it was
all over.
Posted.
I couldn't find it.
Can you find old stories? I'm old and can't find things, but can you go back to 3 weeks ago and find our stories?
Unless they like saved it to their like little thing collections. But no.
I saw a screenshot of a video of someone robbing them. So there is video going around somewhere in the social media vintage community of that. Someone robbing them as well. And it's kind of crazy that happened too. So like, I don't know. We haven't been robbed for vintage yet. We talked about this yesterday. We've been shoplifted.
Yeah, just like any store in America.
Right. But no one's broken in and stolen our shit.
And yeah,
knock on wood, fake wood. We're not talking about this to tempt the gods, But
it's like in a short window of time, there was a high density of vintage theft. But then even in the Raytown area, like in the last 12 to 18 months, if you were to draw a circle around Raytown, there's been
the gun shop across the street got backed into.
Yeah, a handful of burglaries and theft. And I don't know, it's just... it really fucking sucks, and my heart and energy goes out to people who have been a victim of that, because especially Peaches, it's from the outside perspective, what a lot of customers saw was, oh, she lost product, but it's like
you have a sense of mind. She has consignment, like
sense of security, fix the damage, which those big windows ain't fucking cheap. Neither were her displays, I'm assuming. Do you have to then upgrade security, buy new locks, clean after, and then on top of paying for all of the fixes and damages and replacements, there's the time and energy that could have been spent on marketing or budgeting or selling, you now had to waste on free fixing. So a wasted time, and that's time not spent selling or being open. So like all of these things compound to like, the lost product almost becomes the smallest of your issues.
And if she has other people selling in her shop and their shit got stolen, which almost certainly happened.
Yeah.
You now have like, another part of your business model being threatened, not just the fact that you had inventory stolen, but other people had their inventory stolen. Now you have to answer for that. And are they going to pull out, and what are you going to do?
And this isn't just like your job that you show up to. This is what you've probably invested a lot of your own personal time and money, and like you definitely have an emotional connection to it, and your future might be riding on this success. And so I've thought about it a couple times in the day of like, what would happen if we were to experience just something like that, and it's fucking rough.
Yeah.
I feel bad for everybody.
Yeah, Rex Catalog is going through the same thing. We know people that are popping up there, and they're dealing with all that stuff. So it's rough, and heart goes out to them. And we're thinking about what we can do a little bit about around here to beef up, our prevention plan.
Yeah. If you are a burglar, know this: there's someone who lives on site, and they sleep at our store essentially. So like you're gonna wake somebody up. And number 2,
and they have 2 fierce dogs. That weigh about as much as a butterball turkey combined.
But they're loud.
Yep.
And I live like 6 minutes away. 4 minutes if I'm fast.
And it's dangerous at night in Raytown, but only after hours when we're not open, not during hours.
Yeah, during it's beautiful.
Yeah.
In Utopia.
Yeah.
But I'll get here and I'll fuck you up.
Yeah, he lives really close.
And I'll take pleasure in doing it.
And my Uncle Donnie, boy, does he have an arsenal.
God, he's got the itchiest finger I've ever seen.
Yeah, and he loves Raytown, and he loves us, so you don't want to be across from him. Anyways, it's just crazy what's going on, and it sucks for everybody. And it's wild. I don't know, like, if this is the downside of the Taylor Swift affected vintage, because I feel like vintage got another bump with the Taylor Swift. At least around here it did. They were literally being bought up. Like Chief Shit was being bought up. What's the fucking West Side Story? They're the ones that were selling all the shit to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
They were going through and buying up everyone's Chief Shit at like all the other vintage markets in town at like market rate, like not at asking for discounts or wholesale prices, like coming in, getting them at market rate because they knew they could upcharge them even more.
Yeah.
Right. So like if they're selling a $120 Chiefs puffer jacket in our store, West Side Story would pay that and then charge Taylor $300.
Because Taylor will buy it. Because Taylor doesn't know the difference between $120 and $300.
So that's the downside of the boom, at least locally. I think if I'm trying to assign a reason why to this seemed
it's also
crime wave.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. It's Kansas City's getting bigger.
Yeah.
And, it's weird. Any type of community, like the comedian community. I don't really know anybody super personally, but, like, I go to enough comedy shows, and, like, you definitely start to recognize the same, 20 to 30 to 40 comedians in Kansas City. And I bet you they all know each other more than they would like.
No, 100%.
And, like, that's a weird... Kansas City is a big city, but also has these small communities, and like that's going to start changing. Yeah. Like as Kansas City grows and corporations buy houses, and we put a stadium downtown, like it'll be weird to see like how everyone adjusts to that and accepts it or wants to deny it. I don't know.
Speaking of weird communities and crossroads, another thing going on in the vintage community is that there's going to be a giant market now. So like we are going to, when we have pop-up events at the store, they're going to be vintage based now because we're getting into that space. We've been moving into consignment. We've been talking about it now for months. So it's something we've been doing for coming on 3 months. And we're only going to ramp it up because it's going well. And so we're going to try to really become a destination for vintage in Kansas City. If you want to buy nice vintage clothes, you can come and do it here. We also are going to keep our thrift brand, and you can buy great cheap curated thrift at a very good affordable price right here at Gnarly Hussle as well. I think those things go together and overlap really, really well. So we're going to continue to do that. So that's why, we're kind of wading into this more and more. But there is a shit ton of kind of the vintage space exists mostly in pop-ups. And there is Casey Vintage Flea, which is the one that pops up outside a Parlor, which is basically a food court.
Yeah.
Like a dope-ass food court event space in the Crossroads. And that's probably the biggest, longest-running, most prestigious, like you would say, number one on the billboards in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Lately, there's been one that's been moving in called River Market Flea, and they've got an extension to continue on this summer, we hear. And the River Market is just an unbelievable marketplace for foot traffic in Kansas City, especially in the good months. And in the winter months, we only got to pop up there once, but it was awesome.
They really took a swing the more I think about it. So they started popping up like outside the Blue Line, kind of
outside of the River Market.
Yeah.
But on the in the River Market.
And I'm assuming, either someone told them about the opportunity or they recognized that there's just no farmers market in the winter. And so they
caught the eye of somebody who's working inside the city market. I know that.
Yeah. And so now, then this winter, they have been doing their pop-up in the shelters in the middle of the river market, so they can put the doors down and it stays pretty warm in
Where
there.
the flower ladies are or the vegetable ladies are. One of those has now been vintage.
And it sounds like that they are. It was under my assumption that once the summer hit, they would resume their position back outside the blue line. But it sounds like they're going to be staying in one of those corridors during the weekends,
which is huge. I mean,
yeah,
it would make that the best pop-up in Kansas City on a weekly basis by 10x.
If you've ever sold anything or visited the river market, you know that there's tens of thousands of people moving in and out of there in every hour. And like, it's a I don't know their names, but fucking good on them. It's a hell of a swing, and it looks like they hit.
Yeah, it's great. And it's, like we were hoping it would be on Saturdays so that we could participate and get 2 double dip days down at the river market. Sounds like it's most likely going to be on Sundays where we're going to be down there anyways. So that's still great for us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because now not only are we getting the river market community on Sundays, we're now going to get the vintage community who's already going to be down there also coming on Sundays.
Yeah.
So that's huge and it's awesome. But anyways, so those are the kind of the big ones. Well, there's another market that's been at Casual Animal Brewing called Goldie's that's going to be moving out into that infant space in the Crossroads, where on First Fridays they put a lot of food trucks and shit.
There,
that's where they're putting it.
Shit.
Which is basically right across the street from Parlor. And I remember, we had heard that there was kind of some beef between Casey Vintage Flea and River Market Flea because they were kind of overlapping and competing with each other. This is going to be right next door to the Casey Vintage Flea at Parlor.
Yeah.
But this one's planned for 70 plus vendors. They're going to have food, alcohol inside of it. It's going to be once a month starting at the end of May. So it's going to be huge. And I think it will definitely probably overlap with Vintage Flea. But that's probably a good thing.
You'd be dumb to think of it as a bad, a negative. It's a larger draw for more people to come to the same block that you're on.
Right.
I would be flabbergasted if there's anybody who went there to shop and only visited one of the events. Now, yes, are you spreading, a limited amount of dollars amongst more people on the same day? Sure. But I think the just heavier crowd will offset that.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a win-win. But it's kind of crazy. This pop-ups thing is... it's getting big and everybody seems to be running them and they're all the time and they're not that different, but they, that still seems to be the main way to sell clothes. And a lot of people do it online, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I would say the majority of the vintage community, if you blocked it out and gave them identities, these are online sellers, these are consignment sellers, and these are pop-up. I would say still the majority of the dollar is still, the majority of the pie is still pop-up.
Yeah. And I think a better way to spend your time. Selling online kind of sucks cock. It's just nothing but pictures, posting, and mailing. And it takes longer than you would imagine it takes, and is way less fun than you would imagine it takes. But pop-ups, it's a lot more hard work, but you get to hang out with people, you get to meet customers. You should be making far more money in a day than you would selling online.
I mean, how many items do you think you take to the river market?
Oh shit. Probably between 200 and 300.
And how many do you think you sell on an average day at the river market?
Okay, never mind. Way more. Probably about 500. And between 50 and 60 items maybe on a really, really, really good day.
So think about that. So you have to imagine posting 500 items on the internet and then
to sell
50.
Yeah, to sell 25% of them.
It's way the time to put them on the rack versus the time to post them all is a fraction, a tiny fraction of a fraction. So it's.
But you get a larger audience online if you're really good at it. It's a great way to make money.
Yeah, no, it is. I'm just talking from a
yeah.
gratification standpoint, a reward cycle standpoint. It's a lot longer loop.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyways, so yeah, crazy shit happening in the space. But you should come check out and meet some of these characters that we're getting to know at Merch Madness, March 24th here at Gnarly Hussle. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
All right, go Chiefs. I don't know about the vote. It's weird. Just stay in Kansas City, okay?
Just vote. That's our message.
Go
out
vote.
and vote.
All right, later.
Peace.